Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the career of Anne Hathaway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you just want to quickly catch up on a subject.
For sure.
And so we found this really great comprehensive biography of Anne Hathaway's life and career.
Nice.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're basically taking you on a little tour of her journey.
Ooh.
The highs, the lows, her versatility, how she became such a big name in Hollywood, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated by how Hathaway seems to balance that critical acclaim with box office success.
Yeah.
She picks projects that resonate with a wide audience.
Right.
But she also pushes her own boundaries as an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So to start at the beginning, Anne Jacqueline Hathaway was born in 1982 in Brooklyn, New York. Her dad was a lawyer, but her mom, Kate, was an actress.
Oh, wow.
Do you think that having an actress as a mom influenced her career at all?
Oh, it's totally possible. I think growing up around the arts, even indirectly, can really spark that creative fire in a person. Plus, she honed her skills early on at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
So it really seems like she was destined for the stage and screen.
Yeah, and she got her first taste of that screen life with a role in the TV series Get Real back in the late 90s.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was a short-lived show.
Yeah.
But it must have been really valuable experience for her as a young actress.
For sure. Any time on set is a learning opportunity.
Right.
But then, of course, 2001 came around.
Right.
And that was the role that really launched her career.
The Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, who didn't grow up watching that movie?
I know.
Awkward teen turned princess. It's such a classic transformation story.
It is. And it was a huge box office hit.
Huge. It brought in $165 million.
That's amazing.
I know, so many young actresses might have ridden that, princess wave for a while.
Right.
But Hathaway actually made a conscious decision to avoid being typecast.
Smart move.
Yeah, it shows real awareness of how the industry works.
Absolutely.
So she did a couple more movies, Ella Enchanted in 2004, which is a really fun, lighthearted role. And then she did Brokeback Mountain in 2005 to kind of shake things up even more.
Right. Brokeback Mountain was a really powerful film. I mean, it dealt with some complex, controversial themes.
Yeah.
It was a bold choice for her to make at that point in her career. And it really showed her commitment to taking on roles that challenge her and the audience.
Definitely. And speaking of iconic roles, Hathaway's performance in The Devil Wears Prada in 2006 was another, turning point in her career.
It was, I think, The Devil Wears Prada really solidified her place in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, not only was it a box office smash,
right,
but it really showcased her comedic timing and ability to, hold her own next to Meryl Streep.
Yeah. It's amazing. Working with someone like Meryl Streep must have been a huge learning experience for her.
Oh, yeah. It was like a master class.
Did you come across any stories or anecdotes about their time on set together?
Yeah, I read that Streep stayed in character even off camera.
Oh, wow.
Which must have been pretty intense for Hathaway.
Oh, yeah.
But I think she learned a lot from the experience.
Yeah. And then just a year later, she takes on a completely different challenge in Rachel Getting Married.
Yeah.
Playing a recovering addict was a really brave choice for her.
Definitely.
And it earned her first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress.
Wow.
Yeah, Rachel Getting Married was definitely a departure from the kind of lighter roles that she had been known for.
For sure. It was much more raw and vulnerable.
Totally. Her performance was really affecting. It really showed audiences and critics that she was capable of much more than they might have initially thought.
Right. And then 2012 comes along.
2012 was a big year.
It was a massive year for her.
It was. First, she jumps into the world of blockbuster action with The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yeah. Taking on the role of Selena Kyle, also known as Catwoman. That was a pretty bold move.
Totally. It's such an iconic character.
Yeah. There's a lot of baggage that comes with that.
Yeah. And some critics argued that the role was more about spectacle than substance. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an element of spectacle to Catwoman. For sure.
Right.
But I think Hathaway brought a certain depth and complexity to the character.
Okay.
She wasn't just a femme fatale.
Yeah.
She was a woman trying to survive in a dangerous world.
Yeah.
Plus, the film itself was a box office behemoth. I mean, it grossed over $1 billion globally.
That's insane. But that same year, she also starred in Les Miserables.
I know.
A role that required immense emotional and physical commitment.
Oh, yeah. For the role of Fantine, she lost a significant amount of weight.
Yeah.
And even cut her hair on screen.
Yeah.
This dedication to embodying the character earned her critical acclaim.
It really did.
And she swept the award season that year.
She did.
Winning an Oscar Golden Globe. and a BAFTA for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, that performance, especially the I Dreamed a Dream scene, was just absolutely gut-wrenching.
Absolutely. I mean, she poured her heart and soul into that role.
Yeah.
And it really showed.
Totally. So we see this incredible trajectory in like the first decade of her career. But it hasn't all been smooth sailing for her.
Of course not. Nobody's journey is perfect.
Right. In 2012, she married Adam Schulman, who's an actor and jewelry designer.
Oh, yeah. They seem to have a really down-to-earth relationship.
Yeah.
And they welcomed their first son, Jonathan, in 2016, and then another son, Jack, in 2019.
It's interesting to think about how motherhood might have impacted her career choices.
Yeah.
And like her perspective overall. You know, have you noticed any shifts in her roles or her public persona since she became a mom?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense that she's become a lot more selective about her projects.
Okay.
Maybe prioritizing roles that let her spend more time with her family.
That makes sense.
And she's also been more outspoken about the challenges of balancing motherhood with a demanding career.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with a lot of people.
Totally.
Juggling family life and ambitious careers. But then there was also that period where she faced so much negativity online.
Oh, right. The whole Hathaway era.
Yeah, it seemed to come out of nowhere.
It was a strange time. It seemed like she was being criticized for just being too perfect and too polished.
It was bizarre.
But she handled it with such grace.
She really did. It seemed like that was kind of a turning point for her.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, she started to open up more about her struggles with anxiety and the importance of self-care.
Right. It kind of made her more relatable.
Yeah.
It showed that even someone who seems to have it all together still faces insecurities and challenges.
Totally.
You know, humanized her in the eyes of the public.
And from there, we see her enter a new phase of her career where she continues to take risks and explore different genres.
Exactly. She's not afraid to surprise us.
Not at all.
She bounces back with this mix of comedy, drama, even some controversial roles.
Right.
And through it all, she maintains this incredible work ethic.
Yeah.
And dedication to her craft.
It's really impressive.
Makes you wonder, what drives her? What keeps her going?
Yeah. What is it about Anne Hathaway that makes her so captivating?
That's the question, isn't it? And I think part of the answer lies in her ability to constantly reinvent herself with each new role.
Yeah. While still maintaining that core essence that makes her so magnetic.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like she's constantly challenging our perceptions of who she is as an actress.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what makes her career so interesting to follow. You never quite know what she's going to do next.
It's true. But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
She always brings a certain level of intensity and authenticity to her performances.
Yeah, no matter what role she's playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't we delve into some of those specific performances and see what we can uncover?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to start with The Princess Diaries. It's such a beloved film, and it really did launch her into stardom. What do you think it was about that role that resonated so strongly with audiences?
I think it's the relatability of the character. Mia Thermopolis. She's awkward. She's insecure. She's just trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Just like so many of us were at that age. And Hathaway captures that awkwardness perfectly. You know, she wasn't afraid to be goofy or vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that made her all the more endearing.
I remember feeling like I could totally relate to Mia, and the transformation that she undergoes in the film, both physically and emotionally, is so satisfying to watch.
It is.
It taps into that universal desire to find our place in the world and embrace who we truly are.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's The Devil Wears Prada. Talk about a film that captured the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a box office smash.
Yeah.
But it also became this cultural touchstone,
Yeah.
sparking all these conversations about fashion, ambition, the challenges of navigating a high-pressure work environment.
It's interesting to consider how that role might have impacted Hathaway's own career trajectory.
For sure.
You know, playing Andy Sachs, who starts out kind of naive and then finds her voice.
Right.
Do you think that mirrored her own experience in Hollywood?
I think there are definitely some parallels there.
Okay.
Hathaway, like Andy, had to learn how to navigate a very demanding industry.
Right.
And I'm sure she faced her own share of challenges along the way. Yeah. But like Andy, she persevered and emerged stronger and more confident.
Totally. And let's not forget that she got to work with Meryl Streep in that film. What a learning experience that must have been.
Oh my gosh. It's like getting a master class in acting from the best in the business.
Right. It's fascinating to think about the dynamic between those two actresses on set.
Yeah.
You know, Streep is known for her incredible intensity and commitment to her craft. Did Hathaway ever talk about what it was like to work with her?
Yeah, I read that Streep was very supportive and encouraging, but also demanding in the best possible way.
Right.
You know, she pushed Hathaway to bring her A game.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Hathaway rose to the occasion.
Yeah. And then just a few years later, she takes on this incredibly challenging role in Rachel Getting Married.
Right. That was a far cry from the glamorous world of The Devil Wears Prada.
Totally. And that's what's so remarkable about her career. She's not afraid to switch gears and take on roles that are completely different from what she's done before.
She keeps us guessing.
She does. In Rachel Getting Married, she plays Kim, a recovering addict who's struggling to reconnect with her family.
Right.
It's a raw, emotional performance that really showcases her dramatic range.
It really does.
Yeah.
Did she ever talk about her process for preparing for that role? I mean, it must have required a lot of research and emotional digging.
Yeah. I know she spent time in rehab facilities talking to people who were struggling with addiction.
Wow.
She wanted to make sure she was portraying the character with honesty and sensitivity.
Yeah.
And her performance earned her an Oscar nomination, which is a testament to her commitment to the role.
For sure. That's a prime example of how she's not afraid to push herself beyond her comfort zone.
Yeah.
And take on roles that require real emotional depth.
Totally. It would have been easy for her to just stick with the lighter, more commercial fare.
For sure.
But she clearly has this desire to explore the full spectrum of human experience through her acting.
She does. And then 2012 rolls around and she takes on two very different but equally iconic roles.
Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises. Fantine in Les Miserables. It's like she conquered both the blockbuster world and the prestige drama world in the same year.
It's incredible. It's a real testament to her versatility and range.
Yeah.
Catwoman is such a physically demanding role.
Oh, yeah. Lots of stunts and fight choreography.
Right. And then Fantine is this heartbreaking, emotionally draining character.
Totally.
It's hard to imagine how she went from one to the other.
It's like she has this superpower to compartmentalize and fully immerse herself in whatever role she's playing.
Maybe she does.
And the physical transformation she underwent for Les Miserables, losing weight, cutting her hair on screen, it just adds another layer of intensity to the performance.
It does.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that iconic I Dreamed a Dream scene.
Oh my gosh.
So raw and powerful. It gave me chills the first time I saw it.
I know. That's the power of a truly great performance.
It is.
It transcends the screen and connects with us on a deeply personal level.
Yeah. And it's a reminder that Hathaway is not just a beautiful face or a charismatic presence.
Yeah.
She's a seriously talented actress who can convey this whole range of human emotions.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that Les Miserables was a huge commercial success.
Oh, yeah. It proved that she could carry a big-budget musical.
Right. She's not just an indie darling or a critical favorite. She's a bona fide movie star.
Absolutely. She can draw audiences into theaters.
Yeah, and yet she doesn't let that box office success dictate her choices.
Right.
She continues to take on roles that are unexpected, that challenge her, that allow her to showcase different facets of her talent.
It's like she's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Pushing herself to explore new territory and surprise us with each new performance.
Speaking of surprises, let's talk about some of her more recent roles.
Okay.
Like The Hustle and Ocean's 8.
Yeah. It was fun to see her return to comedy after a string of more dramatic roles.
It was. Those films showed a different side of her.
A more playful comedic energy.
Right, and they were both commercially successful, proving that she could still hold her own in the world of lighthearted entertainment.
For sure.
Yeah.
But she also continues to choose roles that are challenging and thought-provoking.
Yeah, like in The Witches, she plays this truly terrifying Grand High Witch.
Oh, yeah. That was a bold choice.
It was.
It kind of divided audiences.
It did.
But it definitely showed her willingness to take risks and push boundaries.
Yeah, that role really subverted expectations. We're so used to seeing her as the charming, relatable protagonist.
Right.
But in The Witches, she fully embraced the role of the villain.
She did. And she was fantastically creepy.
Yeah. And then there's We Crashed, where she plays Rebecca Newman, such a complex and often unlikable character.
Right. Another example of how she's not afraid to take on roles that are outside of her comfort zone.
Totally. And that require her to explore the darker side of human nature.
Yeah. It seems like she's really drawn to characters who are flawed.
Yeah.
Who are struggling with their own demons.
Right.
Who are trying to find their way in the world.
Yeah. And she brings such a empathy and humanity to these roles.
She does.
Even when the characters are making questionable choices.
It's that ability to find the humanity even in the most flawed characters.
Yeah.
That makes her such a compelling actress.
Totally. She doesn't shy away from the complexities of human nature.
Right.
And she's not afraid to show us the messy, uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
And through it all, she maintains this remarkable balance between critical acclaim and commercial success.
It's amazing.
She's a true Hollywood anomaly.
It makes you wonder what's next for her.
What challenges will she take on?
What stories will she choose to tell?
That's the exciting part, isn't it?
It is.
We get to watch and see what she does next.
Exactly. And based on her track record, it's sure to be something remarkable.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really fascinating how Hathaway seems to reinvent herself with every role, but she still keeps that core essence that makes her so captivating. You know, she's constantly challenging our perceptions of her as an actress.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes her career so fun to follow. You just never know what she's going to do next.
Right. But you always know it's going to be good.
Exactly. You can always count on a certain level of intensity and authenticity.
Yeah. So let's delve into some of those performances and see what we can uncover. We have to start with The Princess Diaries, right? It's just such a beloved film. It really launched her into stardom. Why do you think that role resonated so strongly with audiences?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the relatability of the character, Mia Thermopolis.
Yeah.
I mean, she's awkward, she's insecure, she's just trying to figure things out, like so many of us were at that age.
Totally. And Hathaway captures that awkwardness perfectly.
She does.
She wasn't afraid to be goofy or vulnerable, which made her even more endearing.
For sure.
I remember watching that movie and thinking, like, I could totally relate to Mia.
Yeah.
And the transformation that she undergoes in the film, it's just so satisfying to watch.
It is.
Both physically and emotionally. You know, it taps into that universal desire to find our place in the world and embrace who we truly are.
Absolutely. And then there's The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh my gosh. What a movie.
I know. Talk about a film that captured the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it was a box office smash. But it also became like this cultural touchstone, sparking conversations about fashion ambition, the challenges of navigating a high-pressure work environment.
All of that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about how that role might have impacted Hathaway's own career.
Yeah. Do you think that playing Andy Sachs mirrored her experience in Hollywood at all?
Oh, I think there are definitely some parallels.
Okay.
Like Andy Hathaway had to learn how to navigate a really demanding industry.
Right.
And I'm sure she faced her fair share of challenges along the way.
Yeah. But like Andy, she persevered and emerged stronger and more confident.
And let's not forget that she got to work with Meryl Streep.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes. What a learning experience that must have been.
I know. It's like getting a masterclass in acting from the best in the business.
Right. It's amazing to think about the dynamic between them on set.
I know.
Streep is known for her intensity and her commitment.
Right. Did Hathaway ever talk about what it was like working with her?
I've read that Streep was very supportive and encouraging, but also demanding in the best way possible.
Right.
Like, she really pushed Hathaway to bring her A game.
And it's clear that Hathaway rose to the occasion.
She did. And then a few years later, she takes on this really challenging role in Rachel Getting Married.
Right. A far cry from the glamorous world of The Devil Wears Prada.
Totally. And that's what's so remarkable about her career. She's not afraid to completely switch gears and take on roles that are so different from anything she's done before.
Yeah, she keeps us on our toes.
She does. In Rachel Getting Married, she plays Kim, a recovering addict who is struggling to reconnect with her family.
Right.
It's such a raw and emotional performance that really showcases her dramatic range.
She does. Did she ever talk about how she prepared for that role?
Yeah.
I mean, it must have taken a lot of research and emotional digging to portray a character dealing with such complex issues.
Yeah, I know that she spent time in rehab facilities talking to people who were struggling with addiction.
Wow.
She wanted to make sure that she was portraying the character honestly and with sensitivity. And, you know, her performance earned her an Oscar nomination.
That's incredible.
It really is. It's a testament to her commitment to the role.
It is. It's a prime example of how she pushes herself beyond her comfort zone.
Yeah.
And takes on these roles that require a lot of emotional depth.
Totally.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy for her to just stick with the lighter, more commercial type of roles.
Oh, for sure.
But she clearly has this desire to explore like the full spectrum of human experience through her acting.
She does. And then 2012 comes along.
Oh yeah, 2012 was a big year.
Huge. She took on two very different but iconic roles.
Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
And Fantine in Les Miserables.
It's like she conquered the blockbuster world and the prestige drama world all in the same year.
She did. It's a testament to her versatility and range.
It is, Catwoman is such a physically demanding role.
Totally. All the stunts and the fight choreography.
Right, and then Fantine is just this heartbreaking, emotionally draining character.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine going from one to the other.
Yeah, it's like she has this incredible ability to just compartmentalize and fully immerse herself in whatever role she's playing.
Maybe she does.
And the physical transformation that she underwent for Les Miserables, losing weight, cutting her hair on screen,
Right.
It adds this whole other layer of intensity.
It does. And we can't forget about the iconic I Dreamed a Dream scene.
Oh my gosh.
It was so raw and powerful. It gave me chills the first time I saw it.
I know. That's the power of a truly great performance.
It is.
It just transcends the screen and connects with us on this deeply personal level.
Totally. And it's a reminder that Hathaway's not just a beautiful face or a charismatic presence.
Right.
She's a seriously talented actress who can convey this whole range of human emotions.
It's also worth noting that Les Miserables was a massive commercial success.
It was. It proved that she can carry a big-budget musical.
Right. She's not just an indie darling or a critical favorite. She's a bona fide movie star.
100%. She can draw a crowd.
She can, and yet she doesn't let that box office success dictate her choices. She keeps taking on roles that are unexpected, that challenge her, that allow her to showcase all these different facets of her talent.
It's like she's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Pushing herself to explore new territory and surprise us with each new performance.
Speaking of surprises, let's talk about some of her more recent roles.
Okay.
Like The Hustle in Ocean's 8.
It was fun to see her back in the comedy world.
It was,
Yeah.
after such a string of more dramatic roles.
Yeah, it was nice to see that more playful comedic energy from her again.
Yeah, and both films were really commercially successful,
They were,
which proves that she can still hold her own in a more lighthearted world.
for sure.
Yeah.
But she also continues to choose roles that are challenging and thought-provoking.
Yes, like in The Witches,
Oh yeah,
where she plays this truly terrifying Grand High Witch.
that was a bold move.
It was, and it divided audiences.
It did. Some people loved it, some people hated it.
Yeah.
But it shows her willingness to take risks and push boundaries.
Yeah. That role really subverted expectations.
It did.
Yeah.
We're so used to seeing her as the charming, relatable protagonist.
Right. But in The Witches, she completely embraces being the villain.
She did. And she was fantastically creepy.
And then there's We Crash, where she plays Rebecca Newman,
Right.
this really complex and often unlikable character.
Yeah. It's another example of how she's not afraid to play roles that are outside of her comfort zone
Totally.
and that require her to explore the darker side of human nature.
Yeah. It seems like she's drawn to characters who are flawed, who are struggling with their own demons, who are trying to find their way in the world.
She brings a certain empathy and humanity to those roles,
She does.
even when the characters are making questionable choices.
Yeah. It's her ability to find the humanity in even the most flawed characters that makes her such a compelling actress.
Totally. She doesn't shy away from the complexities of human nature,
No.
and she's not afraid to show us those messy, uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
Right. And through it all, she maintains this amazing balance between critical acclaim and commercial success.
It's remarkable. She's a true Hollywood anomaly.
She is. It makes you wonder what's next for her.
I know. What challenges will she take on?
What stories will she choose to tell?
That's the exciting part.
It is.
We get to just wait and see what she does next.
Exactly. And based on her track record, it's bound to be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
You know, we've seen Anne Hathaway transform from this charming princess into this captivating force in Hollywood.
Yeah, she's proven her talent and versatility over and over again. But it makes you think about what her legacy will be. How will she be remembered?
That's a really great question. I think one thing that really stands out is just her ability to defy typecasting.
Oh, for sure.
She could have easily been pigeonholed after The Princess Diaries.
Right.
But she made this very conscious effort to choose roles that showcased her range as an actress.
And she did it successfully. We've seen her in everything. From romantic comedies to gritty dramas to those big budget action films.
Right. It seems like she doesn't really shy away from any genre.
Nope. And she always brings it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, Was that decision to diversify her roles early on, was that a strategic move, or was she just following her gut and choosing projects that spoke to her?
I think it was probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
She seems to have this really intuitive sense of what works for her.
Right.
But she's also made some really savvy career choices.
Yeah, think about it. How many actresses can go from indie darling to blockbuster hits so seamlessly?
Very few.
Yeah. And that leads to another aspect of her legacy, her impact at the box office.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's been in some billion-dollar movies.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland, Interstellar.
Yeah.
And those weren't just flukes.
Right.
She's a proven box office draw.
She is. And that gives her a certain level of power in the industry that allows her to take risks, to choose projects that are meaningful to her, to champion stories that might not otherwise get told.
And she's used that power in some really interesting ways.
Yeah.
She's been very vocal about gender equality in Hollywood, and she's been really open about her struggles with anxiety.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see somebody in her position use their platform to talk about these important issues.
Absolutely.
It makes her so much more relatable.
More human.
And it sets such a good example for her fans.
Especially for young women.
Yeah. You know, it shows that even somebody who seemingly has it all still faces challenges and insecurities.
Right.
And that it's okay to talk about those things, to seek help, to prioritize your mental health.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in an industry that's all about perfection and image.
Right.
You know, it makes her more authentic.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what kind of impact that vulnerability has had on her career.
That's a good question. It's hard to say for sure, but I think it's made her more relatable to audiences.
Yeah.
More human.
Yeah.
And it's allowed her to connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah. It's also interesting to think about how her advocacy for gender equality has impacted the industry. Do you think she's helped shift the conversation at all?
I think she's definitely part of a larger movement pushing for change in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And her voice definitely carries weight.
It does. She's not just a talented actress. She's a role model, an advocate, a force to be reckoned with.
She is.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are your final thoughts? What do you want listeners to take away from Anne Hathaway's journey?
I think for me, it's the idea that you can be both commercially successful and artistically fulfilled. You know, you can choose projects that challenge you, that push you outside of your comfort zone, that make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And you can do it all while staying true to yourself. What about you?
I think it's her resilience.
Okay.
She's faced a lot of criticism. She's had to navigate the ups and downs of fame, and she's come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
She's constantly evolving and challenging herself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty inspiring, no matter what field you're in.
It is. It makes you wonder what she's going to do next.
I know. What roles will she take on? What boundaries will she break?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
We will. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be fun to watch.
It is. So that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the career of Anne Hathaway.
It does.
We hope you enjoyed this little journey through her filmography and the lessons that we can learn from her choices.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. What's your favorite Anne Hathaway performance?
What role would you like to see her tackle next?
Share your thoughts on social media.
Or, even better, start a conversation with a friend.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those conversations